Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the Combat Chatters podcast. Today, Phil couldn't make it, so I'm joined by my brother Harry.
Hello, I'm Harry.
And basically, he was the first sort of person to get me into MMA. I think the first card we ever watched together, or the main one I remember, was Bisping George St. Pierre.
That was a good card. I think that probably was the first one you ever.
Yeah, I mean there might have been like a couple fight nights before that, but
That was the first main event.
I remember just being so hyped for Rose and Joanna, and then Rose being the first person to beat her in like years.
Yeah, well, Rose has always been one of my favourite female fighters. She's very talented.
But basically on this week's podcast, obviously there's no fights to break down, so we're just going no, there is fights to break down, but there's no fights from last week to look at, so we're just going to be breaking down this weekend's fights. Bobby Green vs Grant Dawson, obviously the main event kind of makes this card look, I'd say it like the main event is on the same level as like some of the other fights on the main card.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it doesn't like strike you as
Not quite the capacity of a main event fight, but it could still be a good fight.
I mean, it's on paper it's a banger matchup, but we got a bit of news to talk about. We're gonna break down the Ngannou Tyson Fury fight later too. So
Very excited about that, to be honest.
I mean, it's crazy that Ngannou got that fight, but we'll break down this week's card. So getting into the first fight, there's some really exciting matchups on this card, and starting off with a bang is Alexander Hernandez against Bill Algeo, and Bill Algeo sort of has that sort of like Steve Wonderboy cry style. But,
I would say he's a kickboxer sort of style, but he's a very patient. I like the way that that whilst he's fighting, he looks for ways to open up, and there was, for example, what fight was it we watched earlier?
I can't remember what fight we were watching earlier, but just the way he like downloads data and
because there was one with he slipped
TJ Brown fight.
The TJ Brown fight, and he threw. TJ was catching him with a counter left hook, and he fainted and stepped back just to see what punch he was actually catching him with. I loved the sort of style that he did there, but I think that he might deal with the speed of Fernandez and the way he likes to rush.
Well, Hernandez has sort of had an up and down career. I think he was 13-0 when he fought Donald Cerrone. That was the first fight that kind of exposed sort of the weaknesses in his game, and since then, quite a few fighters have been able to like take advantage of it. Moving down to featherweight, I don't think he has looked great. I think he fought a lightweight last fight and got a win against Jim Miller, but in his previous fights, I mean, he got KO'd by Billy Quarantillo, and I feel like this matchup is kind of like the same sort of level where, I mean, Billy Quarantillo is not the prettiest fighter, but I mean, he's able to dog it out, and if Bill Algeo can do that, I think that's the way he can win this fight.
Yeah, and he has shown that he can do it in the past. And he does like to, when people do throw with him, he has shown that he does like to stand in the pocket and counter and try and do that. I just think that Hernandez is a very, very front forward fighter, and he likes to be in your face the whole time he's fighting. And if Algeo can't match the speed for his countering and stuff like that, he'll have a long day.
Yeah, so I think getting down to a prediction on this fight, I think just for these certain reasons, Hernandez is a big, dense dude. I'm sure the cut to featherweight isn't the nicest for him, and I think he'll struggle to get Bill Algeo out of there. And I think if Bill Algeo can sort of bring the fight into the later rounds after taking the punishment that Hernandez has to offer, then I can see him getting a third round TKO, and that's what I'm going to go with.
You're going
to, I think Bill Algeo is going to gas him out, drag him into deep water, and finish him later.
I'd love to see that happen, because it's so often that you see it go the other way, and people just run through people like that. And Algeo's got the skill. It's just whether he can weather the storm.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't really know what to call for it, if I'm honest, but if he can weather that storm of Hernandez, he'll definitely he'll do well.
I gotta push you for a prediction though. You gotta give one.
All right, if you want my honest off the bat prediction, I'm going for Hernandez second round TKO.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, Hernandez is looking on paper he should win the fight, but I mean, there's just a lot of holes that you can expose, and it's just about if Bill Ojo can survive that onslaught.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's a great matchup to start the UFC card.
That's great. It's a great main event.
Main card fight.
Main card fight. Sorry.
So getting on to the next one, obviously we have the return of Drew Dober against Rick Glenn. Drew Dober getting brutally knocked out in his last fight for the first time ever. Matt Favola just proving how much of a beast he is.
Always proving a beast.
Drew Dober, 34 now, maybe you can say he's sort of coming out of that prime. I think he's joint most knockouts in UFC lightweight history, and I mean,
still think he's got one of the best chins in the UFC. It's the first time he's ever been knocked out in the UFC, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I thought it was, and well, yeah, I don't. It's a struggling one. I think Glenn's going to struggle.
I mean,
but we don't know because, like, as you always say to me, taking your first KO can be a massive thing.
Yeah, it can be.
Like it can wipe a fighter's self-confidence completely. But
I think Drew Dober will be hungry for this one, looking to come back with a bang.
Yeah,
he's had some very hard fights. The Bobby Green fight, he was kind of getting pieced up till he landed the big left hook, and it sort of goes that way in a lot of his fights. I feel like Matt Favola really is the only person we've been able to see actually stand in the pocket and fight with Drew Dober. But I mean, the only way we've seen Drew Dober really lose in the last recent years is by someone either taking down or fighting really smart and at range. I mean, Matt Favola standing in the pocket and knocking him out. I don't see Rick Glenn doing that. He's more of a rangy sort of kickboxer. He's got nice feints, but I just don't think he's ready for a matchup like this.
No, I agree with you. I think if I'm going straight in with a first round TKO for my prediction for that fight, I think he's going to be hungry to get back onto the winning streak, especially after such a brutal fucking knockdown for your first one. And sorry for my language.
It's alright. he just stalks forward and looks for the knockout at every chance. Like he does not mind being in the firing line to try and take your head off. He'll take two to give one.
And we've often, and the majority of the time you see him in the firing line, he's taking it straight on the chin, and it's not bothering him at all.
I mean, the fight with Bulgarini was eating three punch combinations after and after again, and he stayed in the pocket and won by knockout.
I'm excited to see what Bobby's going to do in the main event of this.
I mean, it's a real hard matchup for him, but
we've got more fights to talk about before that anyway.
But yeah, I think I'll agree with you. Drew Dober first round. I mean, Rick Glenn's a tough guy. Maybe he can sort of survive the first round. Drew Dober's not a guy who kind of come out and unloads like loads of.
No, he does look. Yeah, he does like try to suss you out a little bit before he does unleash. But again, it all comes into play with how hungry he's going to be after that devastating loss he took.
And just the level of competition Drew Dober's fought compared to Rick Glenn. I mean, he's coming off fights with Bobby Green, Islam Makhachev, people like this. And, I mean, Rick Glenn hasn't really fought that level of competition before.
No, I agree with you.
So, yeah, both of us agree on that one, Drew Dober, Rick Glenn. Next fight, in my opinion, one of the best matchups on the whole card, Alex Morono versus Jaquan Buckley. Both of these guys have real finishing potential. Morono is an awkward sort of fighter, but he hits people behind the ear and often, and they struggle to take it.
He is one of the most dangerous fighters. Like at any occasion, like he could be in the worst situation possible. He's dangerous.
Yeah.
If you get hit by him, you get hit, and it's like you stay hit. It's like being hit by a truck.
Yeah,
he can punch, and it's not just like he can only punch. His stand-up skills are quite complex.
His kicks, he lands a lot of good spinning kicks.
However, Buckley loves his flashy kicks, so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays off. If Buckley goes for Morono's legs,
he was getting Ponzinibbio.
Like Ponzinibbio in the last fight, then I think it'll be a long day for Morono because Buckley's got some nasty kicks on him.
Yeah, Buckley, he's such an athletic, explosive guy as well, and we were talking about Alex Morono's power, but I mean, Buckley might even trump him in the punch power department.
Boy, look what he did to Consanguinite, and that was probably one of the weirdest positions you could probably knock someone out from as well.
Just held that leg too long.
Way too long. Yeah,
but I think since coming down to welterweight, if I'm right, he's on a big knockout streak. Yeah, so he lost to Amorov and then fought Albert Darev, won that, fought Andre Filau, won by knockout, now fighting Alex Morono.
Mm.
So I think fighting at welterweight, he doesn't have to, at middleweight, he was kind of leaping into shots, kind of putting his chin in
That's
the air
his recklessness. Yeah,
exactly.
which one thing I've always noticed about Buckley is he is very, very reckless, but he does look for his opportunities to set his combos up and stuff like that. So especially more in the recent, like in his recent fights, like he's looked more for his shots and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, he still likes to be reckless, and I love that about any fighter. It's one of the best things, but he's very good at setting his combos up, like from any position as well. He just he'll dart around the octagon, covering distance.
And I think one main thing in his career right now is fighting at middleweight. He was kind of reaching and having to leave his chin in the air to even reach the middleweight opponent's head. Where at welterweight, he's fighting people same sort of height. He doesn't have to jump into range so much and risk getting knocked out. So I think sort of the danger of Buckley getting hurt like he was in most of his fights at middleweight is not on the same table, sort of on the table like it is at welterweight. I thought he looked really good at middleweight against Amov, and he was a massive guy. So coming down to welterweight, fighting these smaller guys, I think that's the biggest benefit in his career.
Yeah,
and he looked great in his last fight. Got a brutal knockout against Filial. So this fight, it's a hard one to call, to be fair, because
it is a hard one. It is a hard one.
Moreno coming off a submission against Tim Means, so it shows like he's still hungry, and he's had a few tough losses. Obviously, the Ponzinibbio fight he took on short notice at 180 pounds, so this is back at 170. I think this is a tough fight for Buckley.
I think this is a tough fight for Buckley as well, because as I said, it doesn't matter if you're good with your feints and flashy and stuff like that against Morono, because all it takes is for him to read one thing and hit you, and that's game over.
And Buckley is kind of chinny. We've seen him be hurt a lot.
Yeah, we have seen him get hurt a lot in his career. You are right there. Who are you calling for the fight then? What is your prediction for this one then?
Although saying that about Buckley, I think at welterweight he's looked so much better, and just for that reason, I am just going to edge him. I think he will get kind of wobbled in the first round, but I think he will come back, rally for only a second round KO.
Oh, see, I agree with you. Apart from the end bit, I think he's going to get hurt in the first round. But you can't run away from the Great White. You can't run away from the Great White. They gave him the name for the reason.
Yeah, he's a shark in the water when he hurts you.
Yeah, he does. Smells that blood and goes.
I think, but another thing as well, Morono is very good on the ground, but welterweight Buckley can use his wrestling a lot more because he can overpower these guys. So maybe if Morono does hurt him, you can kind of see an aspect of where Buckley just tries to power his way into a double leg takedown. So maybe that'd be a sort of an escape route for him.
Yeah, it could be. It could be a strong escape route for him, to be fair.
Yeah, getting on to the co-main event, we're flying through these. Joe Pyfer, obviously big name since he's come into the UFC. I think Dana White bought him an apartment because he was living out his car on the Contender Series fight.
Absolutely crazy, by the way, as well, because most of these people, it takes years for them to earn the money to buy an apartment or a house like that, and Dana's just gone out and bought him one. It's mint as well though, because it shows that he is looking to help people who are in desperate situations.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Dana said that he heard in an interview that Pyfer said he didn't even have enough to pay rent. He was living out his car, and he said, well, I can't have a UFC fighter living out of a car. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other fighters on the roster who still are.
Yeah, there probably is. Let's face it, the lower lot don't get paid as much as they probably should.
We should definitely dig deeper into sort of fighter pay, because that is a thing I do feel quite passionate about.
So do I, and I do. Yes, I do. I don't think that it's right that some of them get paid out next to nothing, especially after all their training camps and like everything they take out.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah,
I heard that Figueiredo only made 250k for his title defense against Morono, and I think for a champion who's dominant and probably got a massive name in Brazil to I think a champion minimum's got to be
um,
500k minimum.
yeah, especially when they're producing fights like them two were.
And if Figueiredo's getting paid that much, I mean, I don't know if that was actually true. I just saw a post. How much is
you
like?
never really know what they're being paid until
No.
one of the fighters leaks it. Unfortunately,
Like, imagine how much Shevchenko's earning if Figueiredo's only earning that much. Like, imagine if she's on like 100k title fight or something like that. It's just.
yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the fight, co-main event, Joe Pyfer coming off an explosive knockout against Gerald Meerschaert. Both of these coming off explosive knockouts. We got two absolute powerhouses in the co-main event. Joe Pyfer looked great on Contender Series. Looked great in the UFC. How impressed have you been with his showing so far?
I'm outstanding. Outstanding.
Outstanding.
Yeah, outstanding. Yeah, I think that's the right word. It might not be.
We'll go with it.
Yeah, we'll go with it. Anyway, yeah, he's looked incredible. I've very much enjoyed watching him fight ever since Contender. I think he might just be a little bit too technical.
I agree.
Technical, but
when Al Hassan.
Al Hassan is a very, very dangerous guy. He's powerful and he's also very strong and like he'll hold you against the cage and then just leap off and explode. Yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see, but I think Joe might just have the upper hand.
Yeah, I think looking at the matchup, obviously they both looked so explosive last time out, but Joe Pyfer is clearly the more technical striker. Al Hassan, he's just an animal in there.
Yeah.
He's had some very, very explosive knockouts. I mean, I can't remember who it was against, but I saw him land an uppercut and was shouting in the guy's face as he was unconscious on the floor. Like, he is not a guy you want to mess with, but Joe Pyfer is massive for that weight class.
Yeah,
it's
huge.
Ridiculous. I need to check his height because
he must cut ridiculous amounts to actually, because he must walk around way heavier than that. Because when he's in the ring, he don't look like the other lot.
So he's 6'2" and Al Hassan's 5'8". So.
Exactly.
But only a 2-inch reach advantage though, so it's not massive.
Short arms.
Yeah. But I think I'm gonna go Joe Pyfer. I think he'll get a sort of. I'm gonna go second round TKO. I think the reach advantage and how he uses it, he's so precise with his strikes that I think he'll be able to avoid that getting hit with that big punch, and I think he'll find the opening.
Yeah, I'm leaning to agree with you, but then again, all the newcomers that come up, there's always that one person that just slumps. No, or not always, but very often there's that one person who just slumps them.
Yeah.
And Al Hassan is definitely the sort of guy that would do that because he's been around. He's had 11 fights in the UFC.
38 now though.
Yeah.
Like, can you take a punch at Joe Pyfer at that age?
Yeah. That's what it comes down to. Can you still take the beating? Well, because we know that you can still dish it out.
Definitely.
So yeah, I will agree. I will agree with you on that. I will say Pyfer. But yeah, it's a dangerous fight for him still, especially as a newcomer. You don't want to come in rushing him too much. No.
And I think he does kind of. He does. To be fair, he has fought very smart, but he does leave openings at the same time. But he, for 26, 27 years of age,
still young for this that game.
Only fought 13 times in his whole career.
Exactly. So, like, still very, very young and I'm not inexperienced because you can tell that he's a skilled fighter, but like he hasn't gained all the knowledge that is to come yet. He's going to be a scary dude when he's got this UFC training under him and training at all these mental gyms. He's going to be someone to be reckoned with. Yeah, scary.
Yeah, I think the big thing with him as well, he looks so composed in there at that age, and with not much experience. So if you're that composed now, when you start finishing the people like Hassan, and even then you go into the rankings and you're like, oh, I am good enough to be here. Like it kind of settles in. Like, no,
32 years old when he hits his sort of prime.
I heard Bisping talking, and he said until he beat Anderson Silva, he was always just so worried about. Oh, I'm just in a lucky position. I don't deserve to be here. Like, you need to cement yourself with a big win and get that confidence, and you see how that sort of elevates
confidence is a massive thing in this sport as well. Like, we've seen some of the most talented and skilled fighters lose their confidence after a fight and never come back.
Yeah.
And never come back. And it's a true shame because it's horrible to watch. Like people Gastelum. He hasn't looked the same since John Jones.
Tony Ferguson, Gaethje, Johnny Hendricks.
Not John Jones, Adesanya.
Yeah.
I messed that up completely.
There was comparisons.
There are comparisons there.
Both drink drivers.
Completely different fighters there. Anyway, I meant Adesanya. Anyway, after that fight, it just looked like it wiped his confidence completely, and he's never looked the same since. And he was someone I thought was going to be a great. He could have cemented himself as an awesome fighter. Like,
I think he beat like 5 or 6 ex-champions in a row before his
the run he was on before all of that was crazy.
Knocked out.
So that's what I mean. Like anything can wipe someone's confidence. You could be one of the best fighters in the world, or you could be a bum and gain the confidence too.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen even like an aspect of like a Johnny Walker. Like he got shown up to be not as skilled as anyone thought, but now he's got a few wins in a row. He's fighting Ankalaev for a #1 contender fight.
Exactly. He's back on his run. Like he's taken it seriously. He did. Like he came into this taking it as a bit too much of a joke and got humbled. And now he's realised he's got to train like they train and set back and listen to his coaches. You can't do it all on your own. It's a team thingy. That's why you get an 8-week camp, 10-week camp. Yeah,
so going back to the main event, Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green. It's a very interesting fight stylistically. Obviously, Bobby Green will probably struggle very much with the wrestling, but his boxing's so crisp. I mean, he's struck with some of the best strikers in this division. So if he can keep it on his feet and kind of sprawl and brawl and kind of implement what's the word I'm looking for? Implement that.
You got it.
Implement that sort of strategy. Then this could be a very interesting fight over 5 rounds.
Yeah. I'm scared, man. I love Bobby.
Everyone loves Bobby.
I love Bobby, man. He's a character, but I don't like seeing someone get hugged for 5 rounds, and I've got the feeling that might be what's about to happen. Like, Dawson's not a terrible fighter. Like, he's not a terrible fighter at all. He's wrestle heavy a lot of the time, which might cause Bobby some problems, especially if he catches him off guard. But Bobby, I think he'll be scared to strike with Bobby. I do. I think he'll catch one clean punch off Bobby and he'll be scared to strike with him because he's so crisp with it and like he's so good at countering and feinting, getting out of the way and stuff like that. I think he's just going to shoot and sniff crotch.
Yeah, I think an interesting aspect of this fight is Grant Dawson. I think his record might only be like, so he's a very good record, 20-1, but the competition he's been fighting, like the Lissandro, I can't remember the guy's name, but my mind's gone blank. But obviously, Damir Ismagulov, his last fight was his hardest one. Mike Madsen, Jared Gordon, these are the sort of people he's been. Leonardo Santos was the one I was thinking of. These are the sort of people he's been fighting. When Bobby Green was fighting Dustin Poirier in like 2014-15, he's fought Ronaldo, fought Tony Ferguson.
For a long time. He's fought the best. He's fought the best over the years, or the people that have become the best over the years.
Even Fazim.
I won't lie. I'll be honest. I don't like my wrestling. It annoys me to watch it. I can appreciate how dominant it is, but I struggle to watch it. So I won't lie. I haven't watched much of Dawson, but what I have watched of him, he's very wrestle heavy, and I don't like any of that, so I struggle with it.
I mean, I think he is very impressive, and he's got all the aspects to kind of go far in this division. But
I can't say much on him.
Yeah, no, but like his wrestling is his most dominant thing. He's decent on the feet. I do think Bobby Green has a much better chance of winning this fight than what people are making out, because Dawson, he's kind of shown like if he can't sort of finish you and drown you, if you're really fighting back, he can kind of struggle in these fights, and he hasn't. I don't know if he's ever had a 5 round fight. Definitely not in the UFC anyway.
No, why? Yeah, but
No.
I would have
Yeah.
I would have watched more of his stuff or more of his fights if I'd seen him in 5 round fights.
I mean,
I haven't missed a card in ages, but like
you would have seen him fight. Loads,
yeah, I've seen him probably fight. I've seen him probably seen most of his fights, but it's them undercard fights that are wrestle heavy that I tend to drift away in. Yeah.
I mean, the only reason I become like, I wouldn't even say.
Don't get me wrong. I love watching good groundwork, but when it's wrestle heavy and you've just got someone pinned and you're not doing much with it, no transitioning, that's when it gets to me. Because don't get me wrong. I love watching jiu-jitsu where they're like on the ground and they're rolling around and transitioning and
proper freestyle.
Yeah, proper freestyle. But like you don't like most wrestling you see is just someone at that level is just holding someone down.
Yeah, so like Grant Dawson's very position over submission.
Yeah.
And the only reason I kind of took a big eye to him was his fight with Damir Ismagulov. Ismagulov's so talented, and the way he just took him down and sort of just dominated that fight, just being able to hold him down, take us back for most of the rounds, really kind of impressed me. And I think that's kind of the thing he's going to be looking for here. I think Bobby Green he won't have the kind of, he has more in his head that he'll be like, I'm getting up, like this guy's not holding me down. So there could be more opportunities for Grant Dawson if Bobby gives up his back standing up or something like that for a submission.
And I know Bobby's he's not terrible on the ground himself, but is he going to be able to, like, Grant's done this pretty much his whole career in the UFC. He's dominated people through wrestling. So is Bobby going to have the strength or the smarts to outmaneuver and get to the positions he needs to transition and get up?
Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and give a prediction, and I'm going to have to go one certain way, otherwise I have a friend called Solly who would take my head off if I don't go with it. I'm going Bobby Green. I think he'll get dominated for the first 3 rounds. I'm going to go late 4th round TKO because Dawson's too tired from just trying to hold him down and Bobby Green just scrambling the whole time. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
Do you see Dawson just kind of holding on?
Solly's going to kill me too. Yeah, no, I want Bobby to win it so bad. I love Bobby. I've been a Bobby fan forever, but I'm struggling to see him pushing off and getting up.
Yeah,
like he could do it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm struggling to see it. So I'm gonna have to go Grant. I'm not even gonna say like a finish or anything. I'm just saying he could probably. I think Grant's gonna win it. Probably points, just holding him down.
I just close my eyes and envision a tired Grant Dawson and Bobby Green saying, "You can't hold me no more, bitch!" Just screaming in his face, jabbing him.
I can see that.
I'd love to do that.
Bobby's one of my favourite for that. Screaming in a guy's face.
Yeah. So both predictions given on that. Just a few things we want to touch on. It's not going to be a super long episode today because there's no fights to break down from last week, but. We're just going to give sort of a quick little breakdown and a prediction on the Francis Ngannou fight this month. There's not loads to sort of talk about because, I think we both think it's going to go the same way everyone else does.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I would love to see Francis go out there and do something special, but I think boxing's a different world to MMA. And don't get me wrong, you could be an MMA boxer, but they haven't got the skill in a boxing ring that a professional heavyweight champion has. They are trained they don't have to look out for everything else. When you're in MMA, you're trained to look out for everything. In a boxing match, you still have to watch out. You
don't have to watch.
You don't have to watch. You don't have to watch your feet. You don't have to watch for little things like that, takedowns and stuff like that. So transitioning over to boxing. It's got to be hard because you're always going to be looking for everything still, which is why we see a lot of these MMA fighters cross over into boxing and make themselves look a bit silly. Some of them look good for a little while. Like Conor had a good fight against Mayweather.
Decent.
He looked weird. It was a weird boxing style. It was a strange style of fighting, but it worked for a few rounds. But then again, Deji probably did a better job than Conor did against Mayweather.
I mean,
Deji actually hit him.
You can tell the intensity of the fight.
Yeah, pretty different. Yeah. But that's what I mean. The crossover is so different that you can't they've been training boxing forever. Just boxing. They're gonna know. They're gonna pick you apart if you're paranoid about a takedown or a leg kick or something.
Probably just going to be paranoid of getting pieced up. Because I think, in a way,
I don't think Ngannou's going to be paranoid. That guy thinks he's that guy thinks he is the Don. He is the hardest hitting man on the planet. Yeah, nothing scares him. That's why he's so nice. I think nothing scares him.
Maybe
nothing.
And I think it kind of plays a factor sometimes. I mean, we've been a fan of fighting for a long time now, and you kind of see it sometimes where someone is just playing with fate a bit too much, and it comes back and bites them on the ass. Tyson Fury, let's be real, he's dodged a lot of fights with the top contenders over the past few years.
Yeah, he has. And I'm not blowing smoke up either of them.
No.
But
he should smoke.
Yeah, he should smoke Ngannou, but Ngannou's like a dangerous man. But he walks around like he is the hardest hit man recorded on the planet.
I think. But the fact is, he's finally booked this fight with Usyk in December, and how much I love Ngannou to spoil that pie, because that shows a kind of disrespect to Ngannou that I'm going to deal with you and fight again in December.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm an Ngannou fan. I'm sorry UFC. I kind of like the word. I like the way he left, but I rate him for doing it. I rate because the fighter pay has been a serious problem for years. And Ngannou himself was probably being a bit greedy what he was asking for, but he was making a point for the other UFC fighters.
I don't think it was so much the money.
No, it wasn't the money. I mean, he's got all the money in the world, man.
I mean, I don't think he's great with money though, because
he might not be great with it. I think he does a lot of charity work in Africa and stuff like that. He does a lot. I watch his little documentaries he does on Snapchat and YouTube and stuff like that, and he's always over there helping them in the sand mines and stuff like that. So I think a lot of what he earns through his fighting goes to helping where he came from and stuff like that.
I think going more into the fight side of it, I think that Ngannou has a better chance than Conor McGregor did, because it's heavyweight boxing.
I mean, anyone could knock anyone out at heavy.
If we're going percentages, I'd go probably 85% Tyson Fury. That is my honest prediction.
Yeah, I probably would. I reckon. But I reckon I'll give him a little bit more. I reckon 70. He's 75%. I reckon Ngannou's got a 25% chance of just cleaning him.
Quarter. I still think that's too high.
It might be too high, but you got to think that he is a powerful bloke. He lifted one of the heaviest UFC fighters ever off his feet with an uppercut. Over him. Absolutely, completely lifted him off the floor like it was Tekken.
It was
Tekken, mate.
I want nothing more. Since I've been watching UFC, than Ngannou to take Tyson Fury's head off. I'm not a massive fan of Tyson Fury.
I'm sorry, I love Tyson. He's wrong. He's bullshit. He's the Gypsy King, mate, and but they're known for that. They're known for chatting shit and winding people up and getting them wild up and shit like that. So I've always loved Tyson, and for a heavy man like he is to box the way that he does, that is special.
Definitely.
That is special, because he don't look like a boxer. Not like physique wise. Oh, you wouldn't look at him and be like, oh, that guy's been boxing since he was 2.
And at the start he moves so awkwardly, but you see his footwork now. It's a bit like Muhammad Ali.
He has. Obviously he doesn't like. He doesn't poppy. But he is very like switchy, in and out, like he does, like a butterfly, like a bee.
Muhammad Ali was like 250 and 220 pounds. Tyson Fury is like 270. So
a lot heavier. It's crazy.
I'm gonna go and actually give a round prediction. I think Tyson Fury will finish in round 4. I think Ngannou will sort of.
Are they doing 10 rounds?
12, I think.
Oh, is it full?
I'm not sure.
Full fight.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. I'm. Oh yeah,
I'm not 12. I'm not sure though. Let's just pretend.
Shall I just get outrageous?
Go on.
So alright, Ngannou knockout second round.
Can't pardon
Yeah, we got to do it, haven't you? Every now and then you just got to throw an outrageous one out there.
Yeah, another thing, we're not going to talk long about this at all because I'm quite frankly bored of it. Conor McGregor, it seems that he submitted his first test to USADA.
Yeah, I
ready
saw.
to come back next year.
I've seen it too. Not 100% sure.
Yeah,
Not 100% sure that it's true.
Yeah,
But
until I
definitely
see
won't be fighting in December like they said they were they?
until I see USADA confirm it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he'll get smoked by Chandler if he does come back. But doing cocaine and drinking all the time and coming back to fight someone like Michael Chandler is not smart.
Yeah, doing a doing a seafood cookout with a whole barrel of beer going in there. Yeah. Probably not the best idea when you got a fight coming up, bro.
But yeah, that's basically all we've got to talk about on today's podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We're doing well on there as well. Post a lot of stuff on there. YouTube, I'm looking to get a camera and all the equipment probably in the next couple months. So we'll be posting hopefully most days of the week, hopefully on there. So we hope you enjoyed this podcast. Make sure to catch us, share us with your friends. Thanks for listening.